Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is the third K8SUG meetup here in Sydney. You'll probably see that we have number 23 there. So that's the overall in Australia. So that's a number 23rd overall in Australian region, but in Sydney, this is the third one. We are a part of a very large community. Everyone is part of this community as a volunteer to speak, volunteer to give away some of the discount vouchers that they have, volunteer to give away some of the knowledge that they have. Ben has volunteered today to speak among us, and I'm also going to be speaking. Just before we kick off, a small request, feel free to take as many photos as you like. Just scan this QR code. You'll be able to download all the photos from there, and whatever photos you click, please upload it so that we can share it with each other. Acknowledgement of the country. So Kubernetes Australia respectfully acknowledges the traditional land of Kulin Nation people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So this is going to the agenda for tonight. We'll kick off by a little bit of introduction, welcoming our volunteers and attendees tonight, and introduction about the community. If you are willing to be part of the community, how you can join the community as volunteers, as speakers. And then we have Ben with us, who will be talking about some of the best practices around monitoring and observability in a Kubernetes environment. And then I'm going to be speaking about the fast and secure deployments on Kubernetes, of workloads on Kubernetes environment. Then we'll have a quiz time. So we run a quiz based on the talks every month for every meetup. It's not just to it's basically to make sure that you are paying attention, and then there'll be a lot of prizes as well. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Datadog, for tonight. We have a very big prize sitting over here for the first winner, and then we'll have a couple of discount vouchers for Cube Day and Code Cloud access for our winners of the quiz. And then group photo and some networking time at the end. Our mission, we are very passionate about Kubernetes technologies, irrespective of the platform. You'll hear about OpenShift or the Kubernetes clusters running on like bare metals, or even the managed services on different hyperscalers. Our mission is to basically accelerate the Kubernetes adoption, looking at some of the cutting edge use cases that people have been doing by using Kubernetes in their environment. And we are learning from each other and sharing the best practices. So we learn from each other's experience. We share our experience and learn from each other. It was established by Yong Kong in Singapore in 2022. This is the core organizing committee for K8SUG. So you'll see a lot of faces there. So they are, as you know, the K8SUG group is a global community. So they are from different regions. For Sydney, it's Harrison. We have Harrison with us here tonight, and myself. So we are the part of core organizers. But this particular slide doesn't give you a picture of everyone who is involved behind the scenes. So there are a lot of volunteers, a lot of people who are helping the community, like Felix. We have one of our volunteers and organizers, Ram, is helping us with the Sydney chapter. Special thanks to our sponsors tonight, so Cloud Native and Code Cloud, and then the event sponsors, AWS. We have Faisal as our, sorry, I forgot to mention, Faisal is also one of the organizers, volunteers who helps us and Datadog, obviously. Ben is also from Datadog. So this is the global footprint. It started from Singapore. The latest one that we started is in Philippines. So Sydney is no more the newest baby in the room. Some upcoming events that are focused around Kubernetes. So if you're around in any of those cities, make a note of it. Would be great to attend those events. And there is this workshop that's coming up in Melbourne, auto scaling with Carpenter. Carpenter, obviously, it's in collaboration with AWS. For the next slide, I'll ask Faisal to join me. So there is this Build Gen AI and ML workshop for performance scale. I'll let Faisal to talk about it.
Thanks, man. So if you want to learn more hands-on approach on running EKS with Kubernetes on AWS, Kubernetes actually runs your compute. If you specialize in machine learning workloads, you may need storage and data. How many of you believe that machine learning needs data? Right? It should be everybody, man. If you're not doing it, maybe there's something wrong. Yeah, exactly. So in this workshop, we'll show you how AWS technologies help you combine the storage, the machine learning components, and of course, EKS to be successful with training and inference. It's all hands-on. So bring on a laptop, and there's a QR code registered there. I'll see you there if you are interested. And you can approach me if you need to have more information. Thank you.
Thanks, Faisal. If you want to join the community, so here are the free QR codes for joining the community as a speaker, volunteers, or sponsors. Everyone is welcome. Follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Now, just before we kick off the talks for tonight, wanted to quickly touch upon this Kubestronaut program. So this is to recognize people who have completed all the 5 certifications in Kubernetes. So if you are CKA, CKAG, CKS, and the 2 associate level certifications that were recently introduced, KCNA and KCSA, you are recognized as a Kubestronaut. And the benefit, you get a blue jacket, just like this. And going forward, you also get 50% discount on all the Kubernetes related exams. So with that, special thanks to our volunteers who are already at Kubestronaut, and they have agreed to happily donate their 50% discount vouchers to the community. So that's again one of the prizes that we give away to our winners after the quiz. Some of the promotion codes, I'll leave this slide for a few seconds here. So every month during the meetup, we do provide, not we, but as a community, when we get a discounted vouchers, we help and promote it within the community so that you can save some money and make use of it. With that, I'll hand it over to our MC for tonight, Felix, and he'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupam. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anupam. Welcome, everyone, again. Maybe a few words about myself. My name is Felix. I built my first Kubernetes cluster in 2017 with a whole bunch of Ansible scripts. Luckily, that's not required anymore, and we can talk about what we do on top of Kubernetes. Just for yourself, for tonight, obviously share this event with your colleagues, friends. I mean, obviously anyone that's interested in Kubernetes. I'm sure everyone would like to have the Xbox, but yeah, so that we also can grow the community, because I think there's still 3 ways you can solve problems when you're stuck. One is you go on, maybe still Stack Overflow the internet. You can use AI, or you can just talk to other people. So I think this is sort of the forum where we can, exchange ideas and learn from each other. So I think especially after COVID, I feel the meetup scene has been take over hit. So hopefully we can bring a bit of that back where we sort of meet and, just talk about what we're doing and ultimately learn from each other. So now I want to move over to the talks. So first talk will be by Ben. We'll be talking tonight about best practice monitoring observability. And I hand over to you.
Would you mind unplugging and I'll
Sure.
play this forward?
Yep. Let's take you.
Yeah. Let's keep it. I think you'll have to connect to this one.
Oh, right.
Ah, okay, all good, no worries. Yeah, it worked.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Okay, hi everyone. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming tonight. We really appreciate that. My name's Ben Sunderland. I'm a sales engineer at Datadog for the last couple of years. Before that, I've had some experience working with some other tech companies in the observability space. And today we're going to focus on keeping up with Kubernetes best practice observability. All right, so just going to be like a few slides, maybe like 10, 15 minutes max. And then we're going to go into a live demo. So hopefully the demo gods are favorable for me. Anything can happen, right? So we'll start with why is monitoring Kubernetes important? I guess you kind of know that, but I just want to kind of set the scene with that. Some key challenges around how do you monitor Kubernetes, right? It's not easy. There's lots of moving parts. We can get into that. Introduce the Datadog platform if you haven't heard of that, just very high level. And then we'll look at the Kubernetes point of view around observability. So how do we think about it? What solutions can we provide? What problems do we solve? And how do we think we do that really well? And then the demo, and then hopefully there might be some time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So Kubernetes by numbers, I just thought I'd add that in for fun. So just over 10 years ago, the first commit of Kubernetes was pushed to GitHub. So it's just over 10 years old, basically. And before that, it's hard to think that no one had heard of Kubernetes. And now most of the top applications in the world are running on that technology. So it's a really cool technology that's done amazingly well. 60% or more of enterprises have adopted Kubernetes. And this number is expected to go past 90% in the next couple of years, according to Kubernetes market trends. So massive adoption that we expect to see already over 60%. In terms of Datadog, so we surveyed all of our customers, so all of the containers that Datadog monitor globally, and 50% of them were using less than a third of the requested resources. So there's obviously some scope for optimizing resource usage. So 3 random unrelated facts that I just thought I'd start off. So why is monitoring Kubernetes important? So 3 kind of core reasons that we think. The first is obviously around maintaining performance and reliability of the workloads, the applications that are running. And the way that you do that is with some sort of proactive issue detection. So rather than just waiting for things to go wrong, you want to be on the front foot, you want to have the right metrics at the right time, and you want to try and use AI as well to try and get that early signals that you need to protect your applications. Minimizing downtime as well, that's an obvious one, right? And tracking application health so you can meet SLOs that you may have agreed with your customers. How to identify bottlenecks as well within your clusters. So having good observability can really help with that. And overall cluster health so that you're optimizing your cluster resources. Optimizing resource utilization and costs as well, that's fairly obvious as well. If you have efficient usage of your resources, that will obviously give you a better cost profile. And also security, it's kind of everyone's responsibility these days to keep an eye on security. So, it's an extra thing that we now have to consider. And we'll show you all of these aspects in the live demonstration. So monitoring Kubernetes is not easy. It's hard actually. And one of the main reasons around that is the environments are so ephemeral. They're so dynamic. Everything's spinning up and down. Containers and pods, can last minutes. And it's a different kind of world that we're in now. So the monitoring paradigm needs to adjust to be able to take that ephemerality. Also, the complexity, so many moving parts, all of these new subsystems that we now need to keep abreast of. Even developers, SREs need to know so much. So having poor visibility is really going to hamper that. It's going to make it very difficult to keep on top of things. Lack of deep skills in Kubernetes. We've mentioned the certifications. So, teams not having good enough skills makes it extra hard to actually monitor these things. Too many tools. You've probably heard that before. We certainly have. That's probably the #1 use case is that we come across is how many observability tools that people have, and therefore how many silos of information. If you're trying to solve a complex problem and you've got 5 panes of glass to look at, 5 different kind of data models, 5 different everything, it just magnifies the effort that you need to put in. Security and compliance that we mentioned before. So Datadog can help with all of those challenges. The platform is essentially very broad. We're not going to spend much time on this other than to say the platform can ingest metrics, logs, and traces and events. So think of your telemetry and security and metadata. Then all of that flows into a range of core services, including ingestion of open telemetry, using AI technology to get smarter, and we'll talk more about that later. And then using agents to integrate with things, and we'll talk about Kubernetes agents as well in a second. That gives rise to a whole ton of use cases. We're not going to go into too much, but essentially there's a single platform that houses all of that and makes it easier for you to solve complex performance problems with your clusters. And the highlight in green is kind of the area that we're going to touch on, the areas of the product that I'll show you today that relate to Kubernetes. It will touch on all of these areas. So just a few key highlights around the Datadog perspective of monitoring Kubernetes. So #1 is troubleshooting super fast. So when you're troubleshooting a P1 on an application for, say, a banking application, it's all about speed. It's how fast you can get to that root cause. So having access to all of the different object types in Kubernetes from the cluster down to the container and being able to navigate seamlessly around that is really important. Having out-of-the-box dashboards and alerts to easily get you started. But when you get started, you don't want to have to put too much cognitive load in setting up those alerts. You want the tool to suggest those. And I'll show you some of those that we have today. Correlation is a really big one. So you're trying to avoid silos when you've got complex microservices environment. It's very ephemeral, running on Kubernetes, lots of moving parts. Being able to easily switch between metrics, logs, traces, events is going to make your life easier when you're trying to troubleshoot a problem. If you have 5 tools to do that, it's much, much harder to solve. Multi-dimensional visibility. So, we all use tags and labels, but, that can lead to massive amounts of cardinality, right? You've got metrics with very high cardinality. You need to be able to seamlessly manage that and visualize that, and I'll show you that in the demo. Being able to discover containers and pods as they pop up and down automatically, be able to discover that within seconds is important, and be able to work across every layer of the stack. I'll go through that in the demo as well. Managing high scale as well. So some of our customers have over 10,000 nodes. So we need to be able to easily handle that amount of load and still give you that 2-second visibility, 2-second resolution of metrics over 15 months for trend analysis. To be able to connect Datadog to your HPA, so you can control scaling, manage that better, and get insight into pods that are mis-resourced and understand that, pack that in real time. So from a more technical standpoint, so how do we collect? So we have the daemon set, so the Datadog agent that we've had for the last 13 years is deployed as a daemon set, and the kubelet will handle all of that to make sure that the pod is alive and updated and kept current, and make sure that node agent is running on every single node, and that gives us the breadth of visibility that we need. We also have a cluster agent. So that's highly recommended at scale. So as you have tons of nodes, the cluster agent will provide a streamlined approach for collecting cluster level metrics and monitoring telemetry. It acts as a proxy between the API server and the node-based agents, and that can alleviate some load on the servers. And it also supplements and enriches some metadata and passes that to the node-based agents from the API server. What metrics do we consume? So mostly the kubelet. We also have integrations with etcd and the API server. All of those are emitting metrics that we can consume. And the agent will connect with make requests to the kubelet endpoints to then get that JSON formatted data that it needs. Also, KSM is a popular tool that will give you some extra metrics. And we also have integration with that as well. Management tool support. So we support Helm, and we also have a Datadog operator. Helm is, we had that, since the last sort of 5 years, and that will just manually deploy those different resource types that you need, RBAC services, daemon sets, etc. The Datadog operator is the better way of doing it. It's an open source operator that we've provided, and that uses a single CRD to deploy all of the services that you need, all of the agents, the cluster agent, and the checks runner as well. And it defaults to best practice. So we've set it up in a way that already gives you the best practice configuration for monitoring. So that's probably enough of the tech. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and go through a live demonstration, all being well. Hopefully everything works. Fingers crossed. Okay, so just checking time. Yeah, so we'll start off with the Kubernetes overview UI, right? So this is going to give you that 10,000 foot view across all of your Kubernetes objects. And this is scoped to all of my clusters. I can actually select an individual cluster or a namespace, and it will filter all of this data. This is basically giving me my bird's eye view, so it'd be where you would start off having instrumented with the node agents. So at a glance, I can see all of the object types and the counts. So I've got 4,000 containers and 2,000 pods in this demo environment across 455 deployments, 15 clusters, and yeah, a whole bunch of stuff that I've got going on there. So the demo will be based on that environment. Next, we've got auto scaling. So how much of my deployments have been enabled for auto scaling? And we'll talk more about auto scaling in a minute. What's the cost of my idle resources for my clusters? And so I've got a cost there of 2.6 grand of estimated cost due to idle clusters. Then what we've done is we've bubbled up the most common troubleshooting patterns in Kubernetes, and we've surfaced those as a starting point to help get you going. So things like volumes that are not bound, nodes that are not ready, containers that are restarting, and that can be, all of these things can be drilled into. Deployments that are not available, with pods that are unavailable, and pods in symptomatic phases, which means they're not running or not succeeded. All of these we can drill into more. This is just the at-a-glance view. Resource utilization, so over and under provisioned workloads. So it's important to have insight into those things. Some top dashboards that we can look at. These are curated by Datadog. So you get those when you install the platform. It will light up those dashboards. You don't need to think, oh, what metrics do I need for all of these things? What events do I need to look for? This is all curated as part of the platform. And then, as I mentioned before, we've got 10 out of the box recommended alerts. So these are set up automatically. So they use the right metric with the right groupings to give you that kind of top level visibility for things like pods in an image pool back off state, crash loop back off. So all of these types of alerts come out of the box essentially. Oh, really? Oh. Did you send it via email? Just bear with us for 1 or 2 minutes, please.
Yes, HTTP.
Oh, leave that.
Yes. Otherwise, it will take sometimes Z5. Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
Recording in progress.
Shall I use my mic?
Yes, I'll mute myself.
Okay. Yeah. Testing, is that should be good now?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thanks so much. Hopefully you can hear me on the Zoom. Apologies for not joining sooner. Let me just get rid of this bar. All right, so getting back to the demo. So yeah, I was just talking about the out of the box alerts that we set up. We'll touch on that later. So just to sum up, that overview screen is the 10,000 foot view. It covers a lot of ground really quickly. It's a one-stop shop. It's dynamic. All of these things you can drill into. So for example, I want to get straight into my pods. I can go view in Explorer, and now I've got all of my pods. So I've got 3,000 pods spinning up and spinning down, changing status. Every 2 seconds, we update that. We keep the metrics for 15 months. So you can do year-on-year analysis of metrics. We don't roll up those metrics, so you get full granular metrics. That's really hard to do if you use the Kubernetes kind of free tools out of the box, open source tools. Yeah, so and then down, so we have all these columns that say, give me some basic information about the readiness, restarts, resources, so on and so forth. If I want to quickly compare 2 pods, I can just select 2 pods, and then I can do a diff on the actual object manifest. So that's kind of a useful tool to do. A lot of the things that break are to do with, misconfigurations. It's nice to have that there. And then the other thing I can do is group. So let's say I want to group by status. So now I can see all of my pods out of the 4,000 that are in crash loop back off status. So that's 105. Most of them are running. I've got some pending state. I've got 6 in pending state, and I can drill into each of those. So most of these would be celery worker, which is what I was expecting. I can drill into that particular pod, and I can see the YAML file, and I can see the map of where that resource fits within the schema of the pod and the namespace and within the cluster. And in this case, it's highlighted that there's some memory usage, excessive memory usage there. Other things that I want to look at. So let's have a look at the troubleshooting. So we've got the troubleshooter, and it's going to look for potential problems because this was in crash loop backoff. Can you see that? It's quite small. Can you see that? Okay. So in this case, we've got an out of memory kind of problem, and you can see the trend of that data over the last hour. So really useful to be able to have that. So regardless of what what the potential problem is, we've got out of the box troubleshooting that can help with that. And now if I want to visualize this more visually, I've got the map, right? So the map will come in and show me all of my pods. And let's say I want to group that by deployment. So I use the kube deployment tag, and now I can visualize that nice and easy, right? So it's a really good way of working when you've got large scale and a lot of ephemerality, you've got a lot of objects churning around, you want to keep track of that. So I can see the celery worker has got lots of CPU utilization. And the color coding you can see down the bottom. So in this case, it's CPU. I can change that to memory and get a different view based on memory and other different metrics as well. So that's kind of that. That's kind of useful to have that visualization. Let's get back to the Explorer. But in this case, let's say I'm the owner of the authentication service. So I can go down to the deployment, and I've got the .NET. So I'm just going to say, just filter, show me the .NET pods. So there's 332 pods. I can drill into the .NET pod. And in this case, I've got some YAML history. I can compare how that YAML file has changed over time. And that's kind of useful to have if you're trying to troubleshoot, why is this behaving differently with this version versus last version, right? Yeah, so I guess the agent will pull that. I'm not sure the frequency of pulling it, but yeah, I can find out after. So other things that we curate, I should say, right? So all of the logs that are emanating from the containers from within that pod are aggregated into a single view and presented here. And if I want to jump to a full logs view, I can do that. And that will give me the analytics logging view. If APM is your preferred way of troubleshooting, I can now look at all of the traces that have emanated from those pods. And those traces on the basis that we've instrumented those with APM, right? That's where that data comes from. And I can see it's given me for those particular services, for the auth.NET service, it's given me some request and error rate and latency. That allows me to see, is the Kubernetes infrastructure impacting those key red metrics, latency and error? It's good to know that, right? I don't need to switch to a different tool to find that out. And right from here, I can find, I can go into a transaction in tracing, and that will take me to the full trace. And I can see all of the flame graph for that transaction, all linked and connected to the pod in which that trace has happened. So trying to find that manually is just a real drag. But if you're trying to troubleshoot and you're under the pump because it's a P1, it's just nice to have all of that in the same view, right? So that's tracing. I didn't want to talk too much about tracing. Profiling as well. So let's say that you're the developer of that service. Now you want to look at how the CPU is used at a method by method basis. This is a .NET service. So I can now see how that transaction is spent across the methods of the code that I've written, right? Other metrics around Kubernetes metrics, processes, networks, the network, that's how the network is being used by those pods as well. So all of those things we bring in together. So just to kind of re-emphasize that correlation, I mentioned it before in the slides, that's a big part of what Datadog does. It tries to make it easy by bringing those things together. So anything that relates to that pod, we want to, any telemetry that we can collect, we want to do that association for you and make it easy to find. So that's enough of that. Let's have a look at Watchdog. So Watchdog is the AI engine. And Watchdog is looking at all of the telemetry signals that you send. So if you send us a log, a metric, a trace, an event, all of that goes through that watchdog service. It's looking for anomalies. So it turns out machine learning is pretty good at looking for anomalies in number patterns and particularly metric data. So we've fine-tuned that machine learning model, and we've given it like skills in Kubernetes, and now it's looking for things that happen in Kubernetes. So for example, unready addresses in the endpoint is one example. And this, because this is Watchdog, this is what it's finding this data unassisted. That's the benefit of this. So we talked earlier about proactive monitoring. That's what I was referring to. And you might want to remember the name Watchdog, just saying. Okay, so that's kind of Watchdog. That's a curated list of what we call stories. And you can scope that not just to Kubernetes, but also logs and metrics and traces as well. So it's always looking out for things. The other thing I wanted to go through is back on the overview page is all of these recommended monitors. So if I want to set that up, all I have to do is click one button and it's going to give me all of the metrics that I need for that crash loop back off state. So it's got the Kubernetes state metric, and it's got the reason code. It's grouped by a number of different buckets, and it's got the threshold. And now if I want to pump that to my Slack, I can just mention my Slack message. And now I'm going to get a Slack message alert for any of those crash loop back off scenarios. That's basically the same for all of those types of monitors. So it's just really easy to get up and running and get started. How are we doing for time, actually? 10 minutes? Yeah, cool. All good. So the next thing is the network views, a couple of extra views to show. The network view will show me Kubernetes view of how network data is transmitted and received. And in this case, it's by deployment name. And I can sort of move around the map and see something that's interesting. And I can drill into one of those services and click inspect, and it's going to give me a deep dive view of that. I can look at it at a cluster layer or pod layer or namespace layer. And so whatever layer I want from any of those tags, I can slice and dice all of that network traffic. And sometimes that might show me, oh, that pod shouldn't be sending network data to that particular point, whatever entity that might be. So that's networking. In terms of security, if we go back to the pods, we have the container images view, and that will now allow me to sort by vulnerabilities. And so let's say I'm looking at this Sinatra multivac image. Probably could have chosen a better one, but that's the one I've chosen. And now it's given me a list of all the known vulnerabilities that are associated with that image. And I can drill into any one of those, and it will show me when that was discovered and what the exposure is, what the timeline is, what the rating is based on CVS score, and some extra links to get further information about that vulnerability. So when we put on our security hat, it gives us all that extra information about potential risks and vulnerabilities with some of the images that we're using. So that is pretty much it. The last thing I wanted to show was the overview. Just to sum up, so we've shown how we can correlate telemetry from different buckets, so metrics, logs, and traces, bring that all together. We've shown how we can provide guidance and guardrails from that overview page, which brings everything together in an easy to digestible format. This is the out-of-the-box Kubernetes overview dashboard. So as soon as you inject your cluster with the Datadog agent, this will light up, and you should get all of that telemetry for you. So just to kind of sum up, I won't go over that too much. How do you get started? Go to datadoghq.com, start a trial, click on the trial button, deploy the agent into your clusters, and then enable the alert templates like I mentioned, and then you should get flooded with the dashboards and visibility that I've shown today. So that's it from me. Hopefully you found some of that interesting. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, you can grab me on LinkedIn from the invite. And yeah, thanks a lot for your attention.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, Ben. Any questions?
Oh yeah, questions.
Can Datadog or is it a SaaS?
Yeah, it's SaaS. It's SaaS. Yeah.
Anyone doing on-premise Kubernetes or everyone on cloud? One more question. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
So do you mind elaborating a bit more detail in saying that is with microservices and still is there any way you can with microservices such as you?
Yeah, we have integration. So the agent has all of the integrations bundled into that binary. So when you deploy that node agent, it has has over 700 integrations. One of them is there's a variety of control plane based integrations. Istio is one of those. So it will pull metrics that Istio kind of submit. And then the dashboard will light up with the Istio metrics that you can scope per cluster, per workload, et cetera, et cetera.
So this can be done for
there's only so much I can show, right? So, but if you want to find out more, we can definitely have a chat offline on that.
Any other questions? No, here we go. So, for the security part, is it
Yeah, no, it's part of the Datadog platform. Well, pricing we can talk about later, but I've brought some colleagues along if you want to get into the detail around that. But yeah, it's baked into the product. There's loads of different angles for security, but this is specifically the one around containers. So that's the one that I showed. But yeah, let's chat after.
I'm still curious, like who uses on-premise Kubernetes? Yeah, okay. Anyone else? No. Okay. Who uses EKS? Rest? EKS? Any other GK? See, not in Kubernetes at all? Who's not in Kubernetes?
Beer for the pizza.
Beer for the pizza. Okay, I was waiting. Some people didn't raise that. Okay, no worries. Just curious. Maybe why we're sorting this out. When you deploy it, you get the same sort of set of, like, you get a default set of alerts or like things that observes with the product. Like,
Well,
that works.
They're not the alerts. There aren't any alerts that are enabled because we wouldn't want to flood anyone with. We wouldn't want to presume what an alert means for you versus you versus you, right? So, but the watchdog is good because it will suggest here's a whole bunch of stuff I've found. Do you want to turn this on? And that turning on means send to my Slack, send to my Jira, send to my ServiceNow, or whatever it is. Or so, yeah.
Typically with the open source stuff, you get like automation Grafana, you get this default.
Yeah, well, the 10 I showed, they're the defaults to recommended monitors, but you have to click it to turn them on.
But they do give some sort of defaults. You could just turn them.
Yeah, those 10 were the defaults for Kubernetes. Yeah. Sure.
Alrighty, then let's move on to the next speaker, which is Anupam. He's going to talk about from manual assembly to high-speed automation, ensuring secure deployments.
Thank you, Felix.
To you.
Hey, everyone. I'll quickly bring up my slide deck.
Do you want me to turn off my mic so that they can hear you better? Because it's using my mic, I think.
Is it? No. I think you have already dropped
Is
off.
the mic screen. But
Oh, yeah, if you can, feel free to drop off. Yeah,
Oh.
it's up to you. Just give me 1 second. I'll. All right. Some of the challenges of being an organizer and the speaker at the same time. All right. Alrighty. Is everything all right online? Okay, cool. Hey everyone. So thanks for the wonderful talk, Ben. It was really great. It's good to see some of the really cool monitoring matrices there and how deep the Datadog agents can go while monitoring the Kubernetes cluster. So I'm going to talk about the topic is from manual assembly to high-speed automation, ensuring secure deployments, right? So I'm not going to talk about any product as such, but I'm going to talk about some of the tools that we used and a solution that we developed to deliver a Kubernetes platform that helped the development team and the workload team to reduce their deployment time by almost like 70%. So before I go deep, talking about the solution, so a little bit about myself. So my name is Anu. I'm a founder and CTO of my own company. Just recently started about a few months back, my own company. Before that, I was working with an organization as a lead Google Cloud practice for APAC. I focus primarily around the digital modernization. I'm more of a generalist there, but digital modernization, application modernization, infrastructure modernization is my strength. So I talk a lot about Google Cloud Platform. I'm a Google Cloud champion innovator as well. A Google Cloud trainer. Feel free to connect with me. Here are my details, or via my website or LinkedIn. Now, so the shift to automation, right? So platform engineers, you might have seen you might have seen a situation where the developers, the people who are actually working on the application, they want to focus more on the application and the innovation or some of the creativity. They want to get the features rolled out quickly. However, at the same time, when you are looking at automating a lot of stuff, you don't think about the security, right? What are the guardrails that we apply when we are deploying our infrastructure? What are the sort of images that we are using? How we have written the code? You pretty much look at tweaking the things around here and there and get the things deployed, try out the APIs, calling the other APIs from one platform and trying the things out. You basically just leave the security aside. However, on the other side, when you talk to the people from security, they'll come up with a whole bunch of checklists, right? So have you done this? Have you checked these ports? Have you looked at this firewall? And it takes like months. It takes literally months to get those sort of approvals. So how do we look at keeping that balance of innovation, creativity, fast deployment, thinking about developer velocity, at the same time, making sure that the data, the infrastructure, the platform that we are working on, it's not compromised. So I'm just going to talk about a project that we did, a solution that we developed, that we worked on, and some of the open source tools that we use to achieve that balance of speed along with security guardrails putting in place. So the objective is to explore automation and zero trust principles to enable secure, but at the same time, high-speed application deployments. What we noticed by incorporating some of those practices, we were able to reduce the deployment time by as high as 60% of the actual deployment time that it was taking before. So the power of automation in deployment. Ever since this whole concept of infrastructure as a code came in, we have been talking about the manual deployments and the automated deployments. Previously, it was more around the infrastructure, but now things have gone way beyond just the infrastructure, right? So if you look at some of the organizations, they have automated it to an extent wherein they deploy the application, but just by configuring the parameters for an application, it in the backend automates the whole infrastructure deployment pipeline as well that is required for that particular application. So in this particular project, we did use GKE, which is a managed Kubernetes service provided by Google. This is that we use, but irrespective of which platform you use, AKS, EKS, or GKE, the concept remains same. So how many of you here understand the concept of zero trust security? Right. So I'm assuming almost everyone here, right? So the core concept around zero trust security is never trust, always verify. Don't trust anything. So we have moved beyond the concept of least privileges. It is trust nothing. So check everything and always verify the connections, the authorizations that are coming in. So zero trust is a security model that assumes that no one, not even internal users or devices, can be trusted by default. It requires all the users and the devices to be authenticated and authorized before they can access any of the resources in the infrastructure. So can anyone here tell me why is this really needed? Why are we talking about zero trust security these days so much? Why can't we have the traditional way of creating a group of editors, owners, developers, and viewers? What's wrong with that?
Users can be compromised.
Users can be compromised, right? So we sometimes create our own password, Sydney at 123, right? So, and also sometimes when you create those groups, right? So you add the users in those groups, and those groups can provide you a wider access to the resources. So if I go back a little and think about the days when we used to have VPN connections or the jump hosts, right? So what we used to do to connect to a corporate network, either connect to a VPN connection or log into a jump host, and then we pretty much got access to the whole environment. These days, you get the access to the specific resources based on the identity, the identity-based access, which is way more granular. It checks based on your identity, and then authorization is done based on the resources that have been assigned to your particular identity. So there is no single group, or there is no single group where a set of users have to be added and they have access to all the resources that they need. Even within the platform team, someone might be working on a particular feature, right, or a particular service. So with things like identity-based access control, you get access to only the resources that you are supposed to be or meant to be working on. Now, automating deployments with Argo CD and Customize. These are some of the tools that we use. You might have heard of Helm a lot. That is pretty much like, so if I compare Helm with Customize, it is something similar to a VM image and a container image. So VM image, when you create a VM image, you have the operating system, you install all the tools that are required for that particular virtual machine. You have the whole bundle as such. Whereas the container, it's the bare minimum that's needed for you to run an application. And if you have to install any particular tool, then you just run the inline commands in that particular container. That's pretty much the difference between Helm and Customize. So Helm or Customize, you create a set of template, a structure that these are the tools that are needed. These are the, this is how I need my Kubernetes cluster to be installed, and these are the softwares that I need to be installed in that particular cluster. So, and Argo CD, it's a GitOps for continuous delivery using declarative infrastructure synced from Git. Now, what we did in this particular solution, so the client initially, they used to spin up a GKE cluster manually, or there was automation, but they used to spin the GKE cluster first. Then on that particular GKE cluster, they needed to install a whole bunch of tools like Argo CD for the deployments. They also had Nginx ingress controller, which is needed. So people would know that you need an ingress controller installed on a Kubernetes cluster for your services to work. And then they had other whole bunch of tools to do the image scanning and security scanning. What we did in this particular solution, we used Customize to define the template of a DevOps cluster. DevOps cluster was pretty much a GKE cluster. And then inside the DevOps cluster, we had the tools like Argo CD, Nginx controller, although we did use GKE's internal or native ingress controller, GKE ingress, but there was an option of including the Nginx ingress controller as well that can be placed in front of the GKE cluster. And then we had Argo CD as part of the cluster deployment. So when the Helm chart was created or Customize template was created, it had all those tools included as part of the DevOps cluster. So rather than creating the cluster first and installing the tools manually, Argo CD for the deployment. So the deployment cluster was deployed as part of, or all the tools were deployed as part of the DevOps cluster.
It's really a package, right?
Pretty much like a package. So you define the package initially, you define the way the cluster needs to be deployed, what are the different tools, like Argo CD or what's the monitoring tool? What? Prometheus is for monitoring. Yes, there is another for the. No, Prometheus was the one, but there's one for.
Commercial.
It's commercial. Prisma Cloud. Prisma. Prisma Cloud. So for the image scanning and yes, exactly. So these are the tools like Trivi and Synix that you can create as part of that customized template that can be deployed as part of the DevOps cluster that can do the image scanning and the code scanning for the vulnerability scan for your images and the code as part of the DevOps cluster, which is going to be just a single template, a customized template, or a Helm chart, depending on whatever tool you are using. I said customize because it's way simpler if you don't really need some of the complexities or some of the advanced features that come with Helm. So you can pretty much make use of customize to use that. So security scanning tools like Snake or Claire or Trevi that can be hooked into your pipeline to do the in-pipeline scanning of the code and the images. And I talked about the Nginx controller. So yes, because in this particular case, we were using GKE Autopilot, and we decided to choose GKE's native ingress controller, GKE Ingress. Otherwise, if you have a different platform, or if the ingress controller, the native ingress controller doesn't suffice your requirement, you have the option of installing the Nginx controller as part of the DevOps cluster or the cluster that you are deploying with Prometheus for monitoring purposes. Now, integrating security. Security scanning, it should be the part of the CI/CD pipeline. Most of the tools that we use, like Prisma Cloud that I mentioned, it does the scanning after the fact. So once the application has been deployed. But in most of the cases, if there is a vulnerability, if there is a security gap in the container image that you are using to deploy your application, the damage pretty much has been done. So it does tell you that there is something wrong, but after the fact. So if we can make use of the tools in your CI/CD pipeline, which pretty much everyone nowadays is talking about shift left. So which basically means put in those security scanning tools like Trevi and Claire to check the container images and your source code before it gets deployed as part of your application deployment. That's where you can proactively look at the vulnerabilities or the security scanning issues before the application even gets deployed in the production. Yeah, it doesn't matter which Artifactory you are using. We had JFrog Artifactory in this particular case. You can hook those open source tools to do the scanning on the images and the source code, be it GitLab or GitHub, to check for the vulnerabilities either in your code or the image. Now, some of the best practices for automation and security. As I was saying, you can't really achieve a fast deployment without compromising security if you don't really follow the automation practices, which is shift left. So if you put together the different pieces of the puzzle, security scanning tools, the CI/CD pipeline, then the cluster, whatever you are using, and then the monitoring and observability tools like Prometheus or Grafana, whichever it is. Along with those, there are tools like there are vendor agnostic tools as well, like HashiCorp Sentinel, that applies the policies, or you can even use things like policy as a code for OPA, which is Open Policy Agent, specifically for Kubernetes, that can help you enforce some of the security policies before the resources are deployed. If any of the resources that are being deployed, while it's that policy that you have set, it won't deploy the resources on your cluster. It will stop the pipeline or the resources from getting created, not the pipeline. Now, I like this thing, although we didn't really use this. Policy as a code with OPA and AI ML and security scanning. So I was talking to Simon just before the event. There are a lot of options, there are a lot of talks, and there are a lot of discussions happening around to do AI-driven review of your code before it gets deployed, or after the fact as well, like the policies that you have in there that can look at the policies that you have set up in your particular environment and what are the gaps based on the data that it has been trained on. So the AI-driven, this is something that I just added as a future to-do kind of thing. We didn't really apply, but if we have the AI-driven review and AI-driven security scanning of your code and the images, I think that really helps us get to that level of balance wherein we do an automated deployment in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. At the same time, maintain that security standards by creating the blueprints and the templates that has been approved and tested and validated by the security team and the networking team beforehand. Now, key takeaways: automation and security can coexist without compromising each other. There are a lot of teams that are collaborating from an application side with the platform side, wherein we are looking at how, by just a click of a button, by pushing the code into the pipeline for a particular application, the whole infrastructure gets deployed before the application can be deployed with all the security measures using the Sentinel policies or OPA policies, whatever policy measures that you have in place. It checks for the code and it gets deployed. Automating deployment and security ensures speed and robustness. I think it also helps in terms of the repeated, whatever we used to say about the infrastructure as a code, that you get the same consistent results repeatedly, no matter how many times you run it. In this case, you get, I won't say consistent results, because the application that is being deployed is going to be different, right? So the results will be different. However, the measures, the automation, the security, and the standards that you have set up, they'll be consistent. And open source tools like Argo CD or Optimise and even security scanning tools can help implement a secure and efficient CI/CD pipelines. I still see a lot of service accounts being used and their keys not being rotated, right? So with the new concept of dynamically generated service account keys, you don't really need to generate a JSON key for a service account that runs the pipeline and store it somewhere in the vault, because that also can be compromised, right? So if we have a dynamically generated just-in-time token that gets generated for that service account by doing the mutual handshake and authorization, I think that takes away that particular risk of compromising the service account for that service that particular service account that runs the pipeline. So to finish it off, automation is key to scalability, but only if coupled with robust security measures like least privileged access and integrated vulnerability detection. That's pretty much it. Thank you. Any questions on this?
So Argo CD and GitOps, I'm curious, like putting the secrets in Git. How do you handle that?
Sorry?
So the purest approach to GitOps is everything you Git, including secrets. Obviously, there's secrets in it, but given what you're talking about, how do you handle that?
Pretty much vault everywhere. But that's something that I would like to, if I can, test out and see if I can make use of not even using the secrets like from Vault. I mean, there are some secrets that you can't generate just in time. But especially for the service accounts that you use to run the pipelines in Argo CD, if we can make use of the identity-aware proxies or identity-aware access to those particular service accounts, and we are able to generate, I'm not sure, I haven't tried it out, but be able to generate just-in-time dynamically credentials for that particular one. That's something that I would really like to explore and see if that's achievable. the vault. Answer your question. Any other questions? No.
So how do you handle high technical English is broken after 60 now? So let's say you have this policy that no Docker images can be deployed if there has a high or critical library. And everything is fine for, I don't know, a month. And someone discovers a new 0-day vulnerability, Log4j, at Christmas. And basically, until the fix, you want to deploy the new application, but the database already registered that Log4j is a critical vulnerability, and now everything is broken, but the new fix is not yet available. So how do you handle automatically those situations when you have dozens of different applications and you have this company global policy that no image can go out?
Yeah, so I guess that's the beauty of it, right? So all those policies, even no matter what you use, OPA or Kverno for that matter, or Sentinel, all those policies, they also have the flags wherein you can include the exclusions and the inclusions as well, right? So I haven't really tested it out, but I'm pretty sure that using those exclusion and inclusion parameters or the flags, you can specify that because we have tested it out for, so I'll again take the example of Google Cloud Platform, right? So there is in Microsoft, they have resource groups. So for example, you're spinning up the resources and that kind of vulnerability has been detected. And you want to isolate a particular folder or project or a resource group, then within the policy, you have the option of specifying that exclude these folders or these resource groups from this particular policy. Using which, even if you specify an image that's not part of that particular policy, because you have mentioned the target or the destination under the exclusion list, it will allow that. That answers your question, sort of. Yeah. So if there is no fix, all I'm trying to say is we'll have to look at tweaking around how we can temporarily apply the fix. Right.
But you could put the policy in action.
Yes, that's also the case. Yeah. Yeah. Why pass? Yeah.
If you're using AWS, you can use SAP to the policy.
Yes. Any other questions? Yeah. I'm not sure how many people have tried Kustomize. I'm pretty sure most of you might have already tried Helm because that has been being used, that has been in industry for quite some time. But if you haven't, and if you are a fan of Helm, I would recommend at least try out Kustomize. It's really simple, very cool, YAML based. So I find it way more simpler than using Helm. Cool. Thank you. Now with that, I'll pass it over to Felix. It's the time of the day, the interesting time when. Yes. Do you want to run it or?
No, if you'll be, I don't know.
Okay. That's fine. I can run it.
All right, everyone, get your phones ready. If you have one, I'm guessing. It's quiz time. So first task is to get on the network. So if you're not yet on, there should be a Wi-Fi called guest, which is for us. So we should, or you can obviously use your own mobile, but I think the reception is not the best, so might get onto that one. You have the QR code there?
Yeah. Okay. Is everyone connected?
Say something if you're not connected. Not connected. Yeah. Okay, we'll wait. Yeah.
Now, before we,
Everyone on the network, just checking. Or do you need to? Because it's scanning. It's scanning the wrong. Is that sorry? Is that for the quiz?
no, that's for
Yeah,
the feedback.
But you guys do still need the network or still need? Are you all everyone on the Wi-Fi? All good? Okay, cool. Good then.
No,
That's right.
actually, it is not correct. You write somewhere, but we can use for music.
So before we get into the quiz, this is the QR code for the feedback. I would highly appreciate your feedback. What you like about the event, what you don't like about the event, what you would like to be changed, and what are the kind of talks that you would like to hear in the future, so that we can look at incorporating whatever we can as a feedback, because as I was saying, this is a community of volunteers, and we want to grow and help each other grow together, help each other learn from each other. So please feel free to provide your feedback. Alrighty, the big moment. Whoa. The prizes for tonight. Thanks for again our generous sponsors from Datadog for such an amazing Xbox Series giveaway as a prize for the first winner. And then we also have a free pass for the Cube Day Australia. And we got free 6 months voucher for the Code Cloud platform. And then there are free 50% Kubernetes exam codes.
Maybe one comment on the Cube Day pass. It's in Melbourne. Unfortunately, the pass does not include the flight ticket. So that part you have to sort out. We should mention that beforehand. So once you choose it, yeah, think about that. I booked myself a flight, not too expensive at this stage. So yeah, so maybe yeah, think about that. Maybe on the same flight, let me know. Okay.
All right, so I'll bring up the quiz.
Kubernetes within what day? Sorry, good question. Very good question. Very good question. It's October the 25th. No. 15th, correct. The 15th is Tuesday.
Hey, okay. Okay, so here is the link to the quiz. If everyone can go to this page here. So it's quiz.confab.com. I'll just copy it.
Quiz.confab.com /q and then /K8SUG -AU -2024-09-19.
We should have actually, forgot. We should have got a QR code for this.
It took 23 hours to find the link anyway.
Can I read it out again or in order? Read again. So it's quiz.confab.com /q /K8SUG -AU -2024-09-19.
Yeah, I'll just start it. I'm actually thinking of putting it up here. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, start it.
Yeah, I will. Once everyone is on the landing page, so I'll put it up here. Where is it coming?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. I'll just start the, and as soon as I start the quiz, then you should be able to save. I haven't started the quiz yet. You just let me know once everyone is on the landing page. Oh, here it is. Sorry. My bad. Here it is. Here's the QR code, please. Just scan the QR code. Everybody in? Yeah. 8. You'll get to know now, Ben, how many of them were actually listening to your talk or my talk. Okay. Please let me know once everyone is in. And for the people online as well, let me know if you are able to join or have any issues. Can you see the QR code? No. Yes. Thank you for that. Just a call out. Unfortunately, because we can't post the Xbox, so the Xbox is only for the people who are in the room. Sorry for the guys attending online. Unfortunately, we won't be able to post it to you. So anyone who is in the room is eligible for the Xbox. Thank you. All right. Let's kick it off. First question. 3, 2, 1. There you go. Name one of the one source of the data that Datadog collects. Metrics, logs, presses, events. Too late. Well, okay. 19 got it correct. It's going to be a tough one. Next question. Name one reason monitoring Kubernetes is hard. Dynamic ephemeral environments, high cardinality of matrices, context switching, security context, or all of the above.
One of the reasons, so all of the
Well, yeah, all right.
whatever it's all about, no.
Well, that's one of the option actually. It says one of the reason. Yes, one of the option. Yes. Look, we don't want to give away the Xbox just like that, right? We want you to think really hard. Right, next question in 3, 2, 1. Name one of the management tools or options that can be used to set up Datadog and Kubernetes. Oh, 9 got it correct, 12 wrong.
There was an option that none of them and all of
Who's ever created the quiz, it's his bad. Which was me. What's the name of Datadog AI engine? Hedgehog, Watchdog, Warthog, or AI Dog? I think people who said AI Dog, they're the ones online. And it happened when we were not sharing the screen, I think. Sorry for that. Next question. What are the 3 pillars of observability?
That's a freebie.
Look, we still got 2 people who got it wrong.
They were just not listening.
All right. Now I promise next I'll try to.
So the leaderboard, we can see who's
Yeah, top one. Yeah.
the heat.
Which of the following is not a benefit of automating the deployment process? Nick. Nick is online. Sorry, Nick. You just missed your chance of winning the Xbox. Assuming you get the next 4 right as well. Had you been present in the room? All right. What is the core principle of zero trust security model? Trust but verify, never trust, always verify. Trust all internal users, trust all devices on the network. Very nice. People are smashing it. So the next question, which open source tool is used for declarative GitOps continuous delivery for Kubernetes? Customize, Argo CD, Jenkins, or Prometheus? Let's go. I did expect quite a few people to select customize. So customize is Argo CD is the declarative GitOps, something that Simon was mentioning. Customize is mainly basically for creating the templates for the deployments. The next one, which tool is best suited for customizing Kubernetes manifests without modifying the original YAML files? Argo CD, Trivi, Customize, SonarQube. The last question, who's at the top? We know. what type of security testing actively scans? Well, whoever gets it correct, that's a credit, because I didn't cover that in my presentation, so I should have. Nice. That means people know the Kubernetes stuff. That's really cool. Let's see who is at the top. First of all, thanks everyone for the participation. Go to leaderboard. Right, so Vimal, do we have Vimal in the room? Oh, nice one, mate. Nice one. You guys want to hand over the Xbox stuff? So
Congrats,
Vimal is the winner of. Take it out of the bag, mate. Show it to the people. Thank you. Thank you. So next up, Nick, you're online. Feel free to go off mute. Thanks, Nick, and congratulations. You there, Nick? What would you like? We have, so let me bring up the slide. We have one free Cube Day Australia pass, but again, as a reminder that Felix said, it's in Melbourne. So you'll have to make sure that you bear your own cost to fly to Melbourne and accommodation. We have free 6-month code cloud access pass, or the 50% vouchers for the Kubernetes exam. Is there anything that you would like as a prize, Nick? Feel free to type in chat as well. Okay, cool, awesome. So Nick will take the access pass to Cube Day. Awesome. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. Congratulations, Nick. Moving on. Now, Ankit. Do we have Ankit in the room? Hey, Ankit. Felix, can you make a note of the details? Yeah. The winners. Yes. What do you want? Code club. All right. Actually, let me get you a
No extra large, guys.
here.
Thank you.
Cheers. Shruti. Hey, Shruti. Yeah, we still got, congratulations. We still got, you can choose whatever you like.
I just finished one exam, but how long are these codes valid for? If they're valid for the next year or so, I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure, but as far as I know, they are from the day of activation, they are valid for 12 months, which is a year.
Okay, sure. I'll get one of those. Given a week, another exam try, I guess.
Awesome. Can you please make a note?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Next up, Saba Kasaba. Oh, sorry. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
What do you want?
I would like one of the code cloud access.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sorry. You can't forget it. One for you. Do we have Peter in the room? Hey, Peter.
Peter.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
What do you like?
I'll just grab some spray.
Anyways, you were gonna get it. You don't need any of the code cloud or?
Nah.
Awesome. Sure that data all gas, right?
Thank you.
Cheers. I'm sorry, how do I pronounce this name? Congratulations, Mike. What do you need?
I think 50%, no?
Sure thing. So the code cloud.
Yeah.
Do we have one more after this, or this is the he needs
Do you want code cloud or the exam?
50% discount voucher.
But once.
Okay.
Because you took code cloud.
Yes.
Yeah. How many do we have left?
We have 3 in total.
Then
So I
we
think-
one more.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome,
Thank you.
mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Heidi.
Hey everyone.
Hey. Congratulations, Heidi. Is it
Thank
Heidi?
you. Aggie, yes.
Heidi. Sorry.
That's okay.
What would you like, Heidi? Code cloud.
I would like the code cloud access if it's still available.
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Could you please type in your name and the email address in chat, please?
Yes, sure.
Huh? And what?
Ankit, the email.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yep. Awesome. Then we have Heather. No one named Hannah in the room or online? Okay. Cool. You might have thought, or she might have thought, she's not gonna get anything. It's only then we have Antrich. Hey, Antrich.
Anything left?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I think we have one code cloud access and one voucher, right?
Yeah, code cloud access.
Okay. I need online has.
Yes, and Nick.
And here too.
The third, he. Okay, so him, Nick, and sorry, code cloud is wrong.
Yeah, it's okay then. Like I already done certification, so
Okay. So I guess done. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate you all joining us tonight, and looking forward to seeing some of you next time. As I said, please make sure you upload the photos if you have clicked some, and using those QR codes, feel free to join us as volunteers, sponsors, speakers. Before we wrap it up for the night, let's have a group photo together. If I can request everyone to come over here.
Would it be better that because we have more space, we're flying the chambers are.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Okay. Explain in the background.
Now you have to convince the vice you didn't go to the next one.
He's got the white thing.
Breathing yours, breathing.
Open myself in.
Good enough? Yeah, yeah, right there and, yeah, everyone in the frame. 1, 2, 3, cheese. There, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3,